In this video, I'll show you how to fit a Magpul MOE M-LOK Forend onto a Shockwave. This particular forend is made for a 590 or 590A1. This Shockwave is built on the same platform, but everything's shortened down. First thing you may notice is the MOE is quite a bit longer. And there are some other little changes, like the barrel is tapered more, so that if you try to use this bushing that has a stabilizer on it, the little stabilizer ears on top that are meant to ride up and support the barrel in the forward position, that also will not work because there's so much of a taper on the barrel right here. Such that if you do put it in there without shaving this down with sandpaper, and these are really easy to shave. I use 60 grit. Just a couple seconds will knock those ears right off. As you can see, I knocked this edge down to fit, and I'll get into that in a little bit. So the Shockwave comes apart fairly easy if you don't gorilla down the nut like I must have. And then no, I don't have a demonstrator available, so we'll do it the hard way. This little tool is included in the forend kit. There's the castle nut that holds the whole works together. And there is the way I shaved, I guess it would be called a bushing. That's the way I shaved mine down. Just took the ears off the top, and I shaved a little bit down on each corner to make it fit in. And the way I milled this down, I ended up about 5 1/4 inches for the length on this, and a little bit over 5 1/4. And the way I found that is the way that this fits in. So you can see the threads right here, and when you put the castle nut onto this, it's a little bit longer than the threads. So if you want to measure where the threads end, from the back of this, it's a little over 5 1/4. And if you're worried about it, these surfaces are perpendicular to the base, and you just need to mill it down to whatever length that the castle nut tightens down, and you're looking for that length in between. So what I did to mill this down to that length was I took about 5/8 of an inch with a 1 3/8 Forstner bit, and I used a drill press, but I imagine a guy could do this fairly easily with a block of wood, supporting it like that, keeping your hand out of the way, and just drilling into it from the end, being careful to keep it flat. I had a drill press, so I used that. But the way you're milling into this, you can just go straight in. And what I did is I wanted to take a little bit more material out up here to make room for this bushing to fit in there. And that fits in like that. I wanted it to sit in there square, and there are squared off surfaces inside there that would keep that from rotating. Against the bottom of it, there's a squared off surface. And along the edges, they're not exactly round. But to get that material out of there, I just held this upright by hand. I didn't use a vise or anything. Held it upright on the drill press plate, and went in a little bit further in and a little bit further out. And that effectively squared off the edges a little bit down in here. Now to clean that up, after I got done drilling and cleaning it out to the depth that I wanted, I just ran a screwdriver along those edges. This is glass reinforced plastic of some sort. I don't know what. I'd have to look at the castings. And I did the same thing on the other end. It's towards the receiver. That would be this end. And you can see there's these pieces here. So you don't want to take this all the way down. The stock, when this comes out of the box, you can see here, that's about where it's built from the factory. And then I took this much more out. So I did the same thing on this end. And to get my depth, I just set this at 5/8 inch, roughly. Take your time, go slow. If it's too long, who cares? You've got plenty of thread there to tighten it down on. If it's too short, you'll get wobble, so don't do that. On this end, you have to square it off just a little bit, because this is not round. You can see it's square there. Square it off on this end. See how that fits in there? Those surfaces are flat. And the way I did mine was, again, just held it upright and went in a little bit off to the side. And that was enough. You can see here, that was enough to square that off. So I didn't do anything, any Dremel work or anything else. I just used that bit and cleaned it up with a screwdriver tip. If you really wanted to fit this in there without sanding off these shoulders to make it fit in here, I don't know if you can see that. You could get a Dremel and just clean that up a little bit. I didn't want to. These are easy enough to sand down so that you can fit them in there. And when I did this the first time, that's a tight fit. It was a tight enough fit that I had to use the tool and the castle nut to force it on there. Shouldn't have to do that after you've got it together once, because they'll wear. This plastic turns a little gray when you're sanding on it. And again, I just used 60 grit paper and cleaned it up with a little 120 just by hand. It's surprising how fast this stuff, how fast you can take material off it. You don't need much. I just held it like this, ran it up and down on the paper. So it took a few minutes to sand on that. Took a few minutes on this to drill, stopping and measuring. And here it is going back together. It's a tight fit on the back. And I will have to use the tool to get that started. All of this went pretty quick, and it sure makes a nice foregrip. If you have any questions, I'll answer them in the comments. Thanks for watching.